Okay, just a quick update where we're at. Have had 7 practices. 3 of them have been full contact. Have been pleased with the amount of reps that we're getting, with the work that we're getting. Based on recommendations on how to practice this afternoon, we will go uppers. It will be more controlled. What y'all will see will not be a whole lot. You won't see any Oklahoma drill, but you'll still see, guys running around out there doing special teams, doing some drills. We'll probably do a 11-on-11 drill a little earlier so you guys can see it. But but other than that, we won't go to the ground. We won't go live, but we will still be out there for about 3 hours and get some work done. So that's kind of where we're at. Any specifics I will be happy to elaborate on, but at this point, the biggest thing is guys are starting to get real sore. Yeah, that's just camp. I mean, you got to go through it. Trying to identify guys that can maintain mental toughness when they're tired, mental toughness when they're sore, when they're hurting, when it's hot, and they can continue to do what we're asking them to do. That's an evaluation process that we are in the middle of, and it will continue for the next week and a half to start identifying depth charts and who we can count on and who are the main guys and who's improved and who can do it when things are hard, because we all know that games are hard. And if you can't show that you can do it in practice, then it's going to be tough to get out there and do it when things get hard in the game. So that's just kind of where we're at. I'll take some more specifics if anybody's got questions.
Said you're working on a depth chart. I mean, obviously you got a ways before you have to finalize it, but do you think you got 80% of it, 90, 50?
I feel good about it offensively, where we're at with that. There's some guys that are, shown to be, guys that we can count in the past that are continuing to do so. We got to develop a 6th lineman, a 7th lineman, an 8th lineman, a couple of backup receivers. Who's going to get the specific reps at running back? All that stuff will be, we'll continue to monitor that. Defensively, it's probably a little more tricky because we have more bodies, more guys that are available to be able to identify who does what right and who doesn't. So it's a constant evaluation. To set a depth chart, that doesn't mean that it's going to be set in stone for the rest of the year, as we all know. We've harped a lot on building depth, which we are. When guys get the starting nod, and they go down, who are the guys that we can count on to be able to go in there and perform at a high level to be able to win games. So, the 2 deep is important. It's not just who is the actual starters, it's who's the guys that are going to be able to go in there and play as well. You guys are quiet today.
Is this a time where you start thinking of things to shake it up a little bit because it gets so monotonous in camp and doing different things, or you just stick right to the plan?
Stick to the plan. We do different things each day. We focus on different situations each day. We've been through 2 third-down periods. We touched on red zone goal line yesterday. We've touched on every one of the special teams units. That's a day-to-day thing. Assignment and technique is something that we're harping on right now, especially when things get tough. We got the injury report's growing, which is normal, happens that way every year. But who are the guys that can able to have nicks and bruises or sores or headaches or whatever it is, and be able to go out there and remember what they're supposed to do? My favorite part of the day is when we go out there at 4:30, 4:40, when it's hottest. Go out there after being inside for 3 hours, and they go out there and it's hot, and they're sore. Who can rev the engines up and get going, and that's what I look forward to every day. Who can get out there and do it? So it's routine. We're not going to shake things up too much. I want these guys to understand what to expect and go out there and be able to self-start themselves and get going. So we'll change up what the specific situations are each and every day, but from a routine point of view, that'll stay the same.
you hesitate to send Lambert out there and try a 60-yard field goal if situation was right, or would you?
60. How many 60-yard field goals have been made in
Not very many.
college football?
Not very many, but he says that he's, kicking.
He looks good. He looks good. He looks good. He's a tightly wound guy. You know what I mean? He's he's tight. He's muscular. He's not your average looking kicker. So with that said, we got to be careful about how much we use them, so to speak. And Coach DeForest does a great job of this. He makes decisions on how much they kick. He keeps tab on that, which is very important. Something that I've learned in being with him is you can't just throw them a bag of balls and say, go kick, I'll see you in 2 hours. You got to be careful on how much they're kicking, how often they're kicking, what their stretching routine is, what their recovery routine is. Make sure that they don't overkick. Molinari in the past has overkicked, and it's affected his performance. So we gave Josh the day off yesterday. We will give him the day off today as well. He's been doing a lot of kicking, and in our scrimmage, our red zone goal line scrimmage that we had 2 days ago. I think he was 6 out of 7 on field goals, if I'm not mistaken. So he kicked the ball through the uprights pretty good. What his distance is, I don't know. That's one thing that I do before every game. After warm-ups, me and DeForest talk, and he says when we're going that way, you're good from the 35. When you're going that way, you're good from the 38. Whatever those numbers are. And that's how I gauge it. And if we're on that number, then I sit them in there and say, go kick.
How much growth have you seen from a guy like Edward Mulder this year, meaning out in the offseason?
Still learning. The off season was great for him. He's twitchy. He's fast. He's physical. He's motivated. He's out of control. So he's learning to. He's still learning what to do at times. And he's a prime example of when things get hard because of fatigue, because of soreness, because of emotion. He's got to be able to control all that stuff. And he ran with the ones yesterday, but he blew some gaskets too. So it's a constant process of continuing to teach him what to do. Not only when things are good. I mean, anybody can run fast and hit hard when things are good, but if things are not so good, you got to be able to be under control, mentally and physically. That is.
Dan, you mentioned how you deal with DeForest on that stuff. Would you talk a little bit about what you saw way back when in Shannon, and how you guys came together, and even more important than that, how it is to be an offensive coordinator when the head coach is a former offensive coordinator and kind of runs the offense like you do?
Yeah, I give him some more leeway, say, than what Mike Leach gave me, so to speak. I mean, I was the offensive coordinator under Coach Leach for a long time, and it poses its challenges. But the thing with Shannon is we truly speak the same language. I recruited him. He played quarterback for me at Mississippi College 4.5 centuries ago. Since then we've always been in the same circles. He was with Hal Mummy for several years. When he came out to Texas Tech pretty much every summer, spoke the same language. When I went to Houston, he was at Stephen F. Austin, which was an hour away. So he came down, 100 times, and we just sit and talk ball, and we evolved kind of at the same time. So, one of the things that I always wanted to do is, and I did this at Houston, I did this at Oklahoma State, and I've done it here, is run it offensively, but be able to step into different rooms and not neglect the quarterbacks. So I've always had a guy that's drilled the quarterbacks. I've always had a guy that, when I step out of the room, can keep that meeting going. So there's constant learning. To whereas if I need to step into a different room, I can.
been seeing on the progress of Jeremy Tyler throughout the fall camp?
It's been good. We got a pretty good battle going at free safety with him and Draymond Henry. He's a year into it. You know, it's a prime example of a guy that understands a little bit more what we're doing now than he did a year ago. You know, so it's also another example of being able to recruit at a pretty high level, to be able to plug younger guys in that can compete, even though they're a year behind. They can step in and they can compete. So I've been happy with what he's doing. He looks good. You know, he's running around good. He's making some plays. And Jared Harper, same thing. You know, he wasn't quite ready to play a couple years ago. Got thrown into the fire last year. Is way more sound. You know, not only assignment-wise but technique as well. To be able to build depth in the secondary, to plug guys in that actually play the position that we're asking them to play in the game. You know, that happened a bunch last year. We're plugging guys in, not to make excuses, but plugging guys in at different positions that they played, you know, the previous 7, 8, 9 games.
Danny, kind of going back to the Shannon thing that you and Hurts were talking about there. Your experience with Coach Leach to what you have now, you kind of tinker with your defense here a little bit. How continuous, how significant, how minor are changes for a coach from, I don't know if it's year to year or from job to job, and just how you kind of have to adapt, I guess, because the rules are always changing, but you learn stuff along the way that you want to do or you don't want done to you. Is it every
specifically offensively, defensively?
Just overall? I mean, it could be anything, like to how you arrange meetings, how you do practices, how you wrap your offense around personnel, whatever. I don't know the depth of it all for you.
Yeah, I think it's constant and never ending. I mean, it's just what change is. I was on the treadmill, believe it or not, yesterday. And I don't know why I was thinking about this, but I was thinking of our Thursday, Friday game routine and how we can change it a little bit to make it a little bit better. You know, so told the staff to start asking questions on how, you know, ask them on how they've done it in the past, and make some phone calls if there's anything that we can do to maybe change. I'm open to change. You know, there's one thing I like routine, but I've always been open to change, whether it's scheme, whether it's, you know, practice schedules, whether it's things that we do. I don't like to change it on a day-to-day basis. I like to think it through, and that's probably my inner Mike Leach coming out as far as researching things to figure out if there's better ways of doing it, and if there is, then don't be afraid to change it. But I think you got to think it through and research it. You don't want to just change for the sake of change.
Hey, I asked both DeForest and Lonnie Gallows yesterday, and they both said this is way above their pay grade. William Crest returning punts. Yeah, I mean, is that a real option?
I was just doing that to mess with you guys.
Probably. Now, I can see that there may be an advantage to doing that just as an exercise, speed of the game, ball handling, that kind of thing. Is that, or is there a possibility that you would actually?
Well, here he did it. He did it in high school to stay in shape. All right, you know, ball skills for a quarterback is important. Just try catching snaps from Pat Egger. It could be here, it could be here, or it could be here, or it could be here. I mean, it's all over the thing. So Williams got extremely large hands, which is a great sign of being able to spin the ball, but being able to have hand-eye coordination and skills to be able to catch the ball. So he used to do it in high school just to kind of stay in shape, you know. And so when the first practice, I looked down there and he was down there catching punts, and I was watching him, and I'll be darned if it didn't look pretty good. So I said, I have to keep catching them. We need a punt returner, so let's see what you can do. And he likes doing it, and so I said, go do it. I don't care. Would it be an option if he's the best one? Absolutely. Yeah, it'd be an option. If he was an every down quarterback right now, if he was our starting every down quarterback, that'd be pretty simple. You know, because you obviously want your starting quarterback to hone in on being the every down starting quarterback. If he's not the starting quarterback, if he's not the every down guy, you got the luxury to have a little bit of depth there. Then if he's the best one, why not?
One other thing, I don't know whether you saw that the ESPN poll that you guys did when you were on Bristol, and they asked you whether you were in favor of an all Power 5 schedule or not. expand on that why? And I mean, there are obvious reasons why you would schedule lower here, 7 home games, things like that. I mean, why do you fall on this item?
I think that's where it's headed. You know, my only, but, you know, as in, yes, I think everybody should do it. I think we should do it, but it'd be silly for us to play 12 teams that are Power 5 and a specific university and the Big 12 is going to play none. You know, so if one's going to do it, everybody should do it. And why I support it is you know, the ultimate goal is to win your conference, but in the college football playoff system, the way it's aligned, and we're fortunate to have a specific individual that happens to be my boss and on that committee as well. I think there's probably been some talks on where the future is. So you know, that and you know, and you can see based on who we've scheduled, you know, I'm in favor of playing regional opponents for our fan base as well. You know, the challenges of the Big 12 from a geography standpoint has been very well documented. It doesn't affect us one bit, and as coaches and players, doesn't affect us. For the fan base, I mean, you know, I think everybody would be pretty excited about regional opponents that they're used to playing.
There's a significant vote today with Big 5 potentially being able to legislate their own rules and things like that. Are there a couple things specifically you would like to see happen with how student athletes are treated? Or
I'm worried about our meetings at 1 and practice at 3. So we're not going to get into that at this point.
Danny, you were talking.
That's too broad. It's just too broad. So
After first practice, you were saying Williams' head was spinning pretty good. By you know, coaching up freshman quarterbacks in the past, how quickly do they, you know, adjust to the game? And do you feel like William has you know, the smarts to really get it pretty soon?
yeah, I mean, I got receivers that heads are spinning, you know, and running backs, and I mean, you can't even coach offensive linemen at this point as freshmen. So, you know, he goes in there and at times just doesn't know what he's doing and still looks good, you know. So the biggest challenge with William is his expectations of himself are extremely high, and he's extremely competitive, and he wants to please, and he wants to learn, he wants to do good, but it just doesn't look good at times. You know, just things take time to be able to you know, understand, and he's ahead of the curve as a freshman quarterback. He's way ahead of the curve mentally. He's ahead of the curve physically. With that said, we've still got a long ways to go. I don't want people to get too excited about it right now. He's still got a long ways to go. I've mentioned it before. I mean, there's a reason why the 2 previous Heisman Trophy winners redshirted as true freshmen. So we have the luxury to have a starting quarterback. Clint looks great. He's doing everything right from a leadership point of view to understanding of the offense, the signals, the communication, you know, the progression, the checks. I mean, he is light years ahead of where he was last year. We got a good starting quarterback. We got some quality backups. So that's why we practice. He's 7 practices into it. 14 practices into it, he'll be in an even better spot.
At receiver, Mario, Kevin, Shaquille, they're all pretty established. But how many more guys do you want to see in that rotation?
3 more. We need at least 3 more. Jordan Thompson's having his best camp. I feel silly saying that. Since how he's been Mr. Camp guy and Mr. Spring guy. I mean, he is playing at a different level than he has. So he's been great. Still looking for 2 wideouts. You know, don't have 2 more wideouts that are established yet. You know, so the better the backups get, the better off we're going to be.
Can you put into perspective what Darian Howard's done so far from coming in late last year, being, he said, like 40 pounds too heavy, and then, you know, not only changing positions, but he's a nose and not an end, which is kind of unusual, I think, that quickly, but also played pretty well in a spot, and looks like you guys like him now.
You know, he's it's a shame that he played last year. He should not have had to play last year. That's just a shame that he played his 20 snaps or whatever he did. Because of our lack of depth at that position, he had to get in there and play. It's a shame that he had to do that. He should be a redshirt freshman that's in his first camp right now. And if you have expectations of redshirt freshmen that haven't been in camp before, it's probably still not fair. So, you know, I see him, and the good kid trying hard, but still is a ways away. He's got to keep progressing.
You said you like the continuity of his coaching staff. You've got a new guy here, Tom Bradley, that knows a lot about continuity of the coaching staff, not here, but what does he bring to the mix? He's been here, you know, a number of months now. How does he fit into the staff?
Well, he understands the game, you know, and he understands kids, understands what it means for like you said, the continuity aspect of things. There is no program in the country that had more continuity than what they did. Probably will never happen again. But the importance of you know, just communication, the importance of you know, getting to know your kids as well as you can. And he adds to what we've been trying to do for the last, you know, year and a half.
Kyle Rose said he kind of ups the level of just expectation with the kids, because you look at the guys he's coached, the linebackers, the linemen he's coached before. Do his credentials, what he brings with him, maybe bring the kids to another level even?
Well, to me, it's about knowledge and your relationship that you're building with your guys. I mean, you know, to be quite frank, nobody really gives a crap what quarterbacks I've coached. You know, it's all about what the next one does. You know, the receivers that I've coached, you know, the young, it may help in recruiting a little bit, but it doesn't help with the expectations of the season moving forward. So, you know, you got to use your experiences and your knowledge and how you interact with other coaches, how you interact with the kids, and what you're doing to prepare them to be successful. That's what counts. I think Tom's doing a good job. I think the rest of the coaches